When the U.S. Supreme Court handed down the 1954 Brown decision mandating the desegregation of America's public schools, it was a major victory for civil rights attorney Thurgood Marshall. But no one, not even the justices, knew what would happen in the South. It didn't take long to find out.
A few border states accepted the Brown decision with good faith, but in much of the South there was to be the massive resistance for a decade and more.
We intend to maintain separate schools in Georgia, one way or another, come what may.
We're going to retain segregated schools, and we're not going to pay any attention to a political decision by an incompetent political court.
When the NAACP attorneys won the Brown decision, they ended the legal basis for segregation and set the South on fire. For Thurgood Marshall, Brown was the final leg in a heroic journey to end segregation.
Last night, less than an hour after Judge Grooms' decision,
you never knew what would happen the next day or indeed the next hour.
this same board expelled Miss Lucy.
No guilty person ever gets hurt. The innocent people get hurt.
For 20 years, he traveled hundreds of thousands of miles through war and depression in the Jim Crow South, fighting case by case, setting precedent after precedent for one of the most important legal decisions in American history.
This was a man who created opportunity for so many people in this country and improved their lives. I would call him a hero. I would call him the greatest lawyer of the 20th century.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Master Motivators. My name is Langston Thomas, and I'm really happy to have you here today. This is a show that supports and inspires members of the Black diaspora to explore solutions that uplift our community. We don't just talk about it, we be about it. So I'm really thankful to have you here today. We have a wonderful live studio audience of scholars who are in their own way working to empower the African diaspora. But first, I'm going to introduce my good buddy Eric and the rest of our live studio audience.
How y'all doing? My name is Eric Rogers, Master's of Public Administration.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Hudson. I'm a doctoral candidate in Moving Image Studies. I study the media industry.
Hi, my name is Layla. I'm a doctoral candidate in political science.
Hi, my name is Christian Downey, and I got my master's in digital media strategies.
So all of our wonderful live studio guests are members of the Black Graduate Student Coalition, an organization that was created to build deep relationships and support purpose manifestation for Black graduate students across the city of Atlanta and hopefully around the country and the globe. Today, we have a wonderful master motivator, a good friend of mine who has done some amazing, dynamic, really powerful work. And I'm really excited to speak with her today, have her share her story with you all, and see if we can get some community support to further elevate the amazing work that she's already doing. So let's go ahead and welcome our master motivator, Angie. Yes, good to see you. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Thank you.
It's so good to see you. You look amazing.
Good to be seen.
As
Thank
always. Oh, how are you doing today?
Good.
How
good.
you feeling?
Espectacular.
You know, we feeling things out. We feeling it out. But yes, I've told you this many times before. I told you about a recent workshop that you hosted that I attended in Black August. The work that you have always done around movement, about being in tune with the body and using the body as a vehicle to understand your lineage and where you want yourself and your community to go has been extremely powerful. It's been necessary for me and my physical, spiritual, and mental health. And every session that I've seen you be a part of, you have inspired people, changed how they relate to their bodies, and you've drastically improved their lives. So thank you for the wonderful work that you do. And I'm really excited to sort of dig in to your history, what got you passionate about that work, and what we have to look forward to for all the wonderful ways you're going to change the world.
I'm happy to be here.
So to get started, could you give us just a little bit of an overview of what work you currently do and how that work serves the Black diaspora?
Bueno, first I'd like to say my name is Angie Melissa Gonzalez Chaverra, and I come from Chocó, Colombia. And the work that I do is all about dance. It is rooted in the belief that dance is not only movement, but also resistance and upliftment for Black communities, but for Black women in particular. So everything I do is to empower them, to help them know the possibilities of their bodies. And I think that's important when it comes to what you can do and cannot do as a Black woman.
No, that's amazing. And so you mentioned that you're from Chocó, Colombia?
Chocó, Colombia.
And you ended up coming to the US as a Fulbright scholar to get your master's degree in Africana Studies at Georgia State University, related to this work around dance as a way not only to engage in movement, but to understand, how you can uplift and connect with your community more broadly. So tell us about your experience growing up in Chocó. How did you become interested in dance? Where did that passion for dance and what all that it can be, where did it come from?
My family. I was born in a community that was mostly white. And growing up there is like realizing that you are not only the only Black kid or the only Black everything in every space, but also that you are seen as outsider in your own community. So my dance was the best way that I have to communicate with others. And it's like, my words were not enough, but there was something when I was dancing that I didn't need anything. I was just myself. But when it was time for me to speak, I wouldn't know what to say. So I started to develop this without having the language of, my dance is everything to me. I was just dancing and being happy. But after that, I discovered that it was through that I wanted to show up to the world.
That's amazing. So, in being in these predominantly non-Black spaces that you grew up in, where did you get exposed to dance from? Was it your family? Was it Black community members who you did have access to? Where did that interest in dance and exposure to dance initially come from?
Well, I think that it's beautiful that Black people exist everywhere and that we always look up to each other, even when we don't know what we're doing. So it's like something that is calling us, and everybody feels connected, even if we don't know each other, for example. So I think we started to create community in that town. My town is called El Carmen de Atrato in Chocó. It is still Chocó, but it was before part of Antioquia and a little bit of Colombia. So Antioquia is mostly white. And because El Carmen was Antioquia, then the majority of the population are still white. So Black people, we started to create community. We started to just be in there and try to see what our possibilities were. And I think it was within my family because we will always go to the festivities what we call baile de pellejo. We will go to these festivities at night where you take everybody with you and it goes overnight for you to celebrate life and celebrate even death and everything. So I think it was through that. And then I joined the dance group of my community. And it was through that I got to see the world dancing. At first, it was just in my town and in my community and in Chocó. And then I started to feel the necessity of teaching. It's like, I didn't call it teaching, but I was like, when I leave my community, I am seen as other than. And so it is through telling my story and telling you what I'm about that I'm gonna maybe be appreciated. And that is where the teaching came for me.
So interesting. So once you were exposed to dance through your community, had the opportunity to join the community's dance initiative, and you decided, okay, this is how I want to show up in the world. This is how I want to express what I am, where I've come from, and hopefully be appreciated and seen for that. How did you begin to advance towards getting to Georgia State? What did that, I know that's a long time, but how did you begin to build up your repertoire, create your dance materials that you would, begin to share with different communities?
Yeah, it is very interesting to see that dance can be so flexible. And it is that it opens a lot of possibilities for you because you don't have to be studying something called dance to be able to do your dancing. So when I became a Fulbright, I only had the option to apply to 4 institutions. So, and they help you choose, and it's something about support, but also the agency that you have to choose is very limited. So I was between these 4 schools, and then when it came to Georgia State, I didn't know anything about Atlanta or Georgia State, but they offered me the best package. So they said, we want you and this is what we offer. And that's what I needed as a Fulbrighter. So I'm like, this seems like the best option, even though I didn't have that as the first, in my first place. But when I came here, I think it was the right decision. I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I got to come to Georgia State because I think it was what I needed in terms of uplifting my Black experience.
It's so interesting you say that because coming to Georgia State and Atlanta also wasn't my first choice in thinking about grad school. As someone who was from predominantly non-Black spaces, tried my hand at some other locations in the US, didn't work out, but I think God had a plan for me to end up here in Atlanta. And I have definitely been blessed by you and these other wonderful folks who happen to be here in Atlanta at the same time. So once you chose Georgia State, chose Atlanta to continue your Fulbright work, what was your initial experience like coming to Atlanta? How was it like transitioning to the United States? Was that your first time? And what was it like just dealing with the culture shock that can come with that?
It was shocking.
Yes.
It was super difficult because it was indeed my first time leaving my country and yeah, the first time being away from my family. So I learned English in Colombia, and it took me 2 years to learn English in Colombia in the Martin Luther King Scholarship. And so when you learn English, and English is not your first language, you say, I'm ready. I can talk to any native now. I was like, talk to me. So when I landed, my first stop was Miami. I mean, that was just a transition. And so when it was time for me to order my food, I didn't know what to say. And everybody was talking to me and I'm like, I thought I was ready. So you come to realize that language is cultural. When you learn a language, you learn in the culture. And I was learning English in Colombia in the academic setting. So the English that I learned prepared me to speak and understand, but in the sense of I can get what my teacher is saying because my teacher is teaching me English, but she's also Colombian. So she also learned English somewhere. When I came and tried to talk to somebody from here, you guys do whatever you can do with your language, as we do in Spanish, for example. So you have some short sentences that I didn't know. And that's not something you learn in a book because it's, again, about the culture. So I didn't know how to do anything. And I struggle even just doing my groceries, trying to order something at a restaurant. It's like, it's a whole dynamic that it also depends on where you go that you're going to be able to develop. So even to be able to speak like you, to speak to you here like this, it's been a process. And it's because I've been here for 2 years now. But at first, I wouldn't even open my mouth because it was like, I'm too involved in the culture, number one. And number two, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Because in Colombia, and something about Latin America is that we are super close to each other. We're super united. We have a strong sense of community. But coming to the US, is like you don't find a community, you have to build a community. Because the US it can be so isolated. Everybody's in their business that nobody's going to assume that you need help unless you speak. And in Colombia, we just offer help. And so that was a transition that I had to make.
That's really deep. And I've heard you speak about the difference in how community exists and functions in the United States versus Colombia. And I definitely want to come back to that topic of community because, I mean, that's why we're here talking about the issues that our communities are facing, historically, why we continue to face some of those issues, and then what we are doing as young people, not only in the realm of research, but also in practice, applying that research and practice. What are we doing to help prepare, heal, and elevate that community? So when you were dealing with this culture exchange, struggling with English, struggling with finding community, what was your experience like connecting with Black people here? And how did that help or not help in that transition to make you more comfortable?
I think that even though it is super difficult to build community in a country like the US, when you see Black people, we're the same everywhere in the diaspora. And not that we are the same because we look alike, but we are the same because we know the struggle, and the struggle is universal. The things that Black people go through or went through in the US are probably very similar to the ones that we faced in Colombia. So maybe a struggle was for them to find out that there are Black people in Colombia, because some Black people here are like, we just exist in the US. And so it's been a process of, yeah, I'm Colombian and I can speak Spanish, but I can also speak English, and we do exist in Colombia as well as we're in it, as well as in everywhere in the world. So it was just a process of, it was an easy transition for me in terms of the Black diaspora and finding my brothers and sisters, but it's also a process of internally not romanticizing the Black struggle and the Black processes and what we all do, because not everybody's doing the same, or not everybody has the same intention. So it's been beautiful, and it's something that I want to replicate, and it's something that I would like to do when it's time for me to pay back my community and take to Chocó. But it's also something that I wouldn't have like the tools to tell anybody do or don't do. It's an experience that everybody has to have.
It is a whole experience, true. That resonates. So I'm wondering, as someone who has now been in the US for a while, has tapped in with different communities, has done a variety of workshops, which we're going to get into, what are some of the similar issues that you've seen arise in Black communities here in the United States that are similar to some of the issues going on in Colombia, Chocó, that Black folks in particular are facing?
Well, I think just in terms of education, like when I share that I once was the only Black student in the classroom, I'm not the only one. So everybody can relate to that, and almost everybody can say, yeah, I was the only Black, and then they can keep going. And so to see that and to share those experiences where somebody else can feel related to you is like, I think that's what we're here for. And to find not only how we face the same problems, but to try to get to the solution. It has been transformative for me. Another thing that I think is really unique to the Black experience in general is how we just navigate pain, and how we have used, in my case, and I think that's a Black thing, art to just keep going, and how we listen to music. And so I came to realize that we just use different languages and we just speak differently, but we have the same stuff. So what you guys call the sorrow songs and what we read in W.B. Du Bois, those are the lamentos that we see in Colombia. And so for our Black communities, it's like, oh, this is the same that in Colombia I will call this. Or what he's doing, like if I talk to my friend Lucy and I tell her, what they're doing is what we call this. So it's like, we're doing the same, we just don't call it the same.
No, that's so interesting. And it's making me think about, in my studies, political science background now in urban studies, I look at the history of structural inequality and how it's shaped social and economic well-being for Black folks across the diaspora. And like you're saying, the pain that we face, whether it's from economic hardship, from social isolation and neglect, just different things that are put in place to harm our young people in particular and have those negative effects reverberate into adulthood. I think there's a lot of, I've seen, whether it's from Atlanta, Georgia, to Cape Town, South Africa, to Chocó, Colombia, there's a lot of structural similarities and the causes of pain that we face. And then, like you said, using art as a medium to communicate in different ways with each other and with ourselves to help us persevere in ways that other communities haven't and can't. I think that's really powerful. So in speaking about solutions, you have decided to show up in the world through the form of dance and movement and embodied communication as a way to help heal our community in a variety of ways. So can you speak a little bit about how you view dance and all the things that come with dance as a way to help Black people as a community get liberated? How has dance a way that, how is dance a solution that supports uplifting the Black community?
When you talk to anybody about any field in their expertise, everybody's going to tell you how to function. You need this, and that, and for your body to be able to move, you need to exercise. If you're struggling mentally, then there are certain things that you can do to overcome that as well. And when it comes to education, they talk about the integral education and how you have to be inclusive, how you have to think about others, how you have to take care of your body, and how you also have to gain all of this knowledge to be able to go on in life. And I think all of that, dance can do it.
Wow.
So for me, dance is a movement that can fulfill all of the aspects that make for the integral education. And dance is the way that I have to not only communicate to the world, but also tell them that we are here, we're resisting, and even if it is in a different language, we're going to continue to speak. Because I think something that dance do and music as well, of course, for Black people, but for everybody in general, is that it allows us to communicate in a different language everywhere we are, not only as Black people, but as people, period. And that is that the universal language is music and dance. So if we're talking about integral education, if we're talking about optimal human beings, that is something that we can do through dance. Yes. So dance is a movement, and dance is definitely the way that I have to teach others how to keep going. And so when we're facing something difficult, when it comes to art is difficult anywhere. And to be considered an artist is not always a luxury. So it starts with yourself. So you know you are the product. Like for me, when I talk about my Black body speaks, it's because my body is speaking right now, even if I'm not doing anything with my words. So when you're an artist, you have to think about what you want to show the world, because nobody's seeing your vision. Being an artist is you are the only one who has the vision. And so my vision is that dance can transform the world, and I don't need everybody to see it. I see it, so I do it. Because not everybody's going to do what I do, because I have it's okay. They don't have to understand. It's my vision, so I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah. I
just need you to let me do it. So when you're facing any difficulty in your art, and when for myself, when I'm like, I once said, if I try to stop and I wanted to ask my ancestors what they would like me to do, I think I would just shut up, listen to them, get up and dance.
No, that's real. And I've definitely experienced how dance can bring about transformation. Growing up in the communities that I did, with the different hardships I faced every day, I think a part of the system was to make me feel uncomfortable with my body, make me feel uncomfortable in particular spaces, expressing myself, just lounging and just being Black in space. And I've struggled with that for so long, even in coming down to Atlanta. So whether it was me learning about your master's work, me seeing your master's thesis, me coming to your different dance workshops, I've been tested in different ways, but it's helped me transform my relationship with my body, as well as my relationship with the folks who are being brought together to experience the spaces that you're creating. So I would love for you to share with the audience a little bit more about your master's work, how that culminated in the master's thesis. So can you tell us about what you did in the Africana program?
Oh yeah, well, my major is Africana Studies. I recently graduated and I did my master's. Yeah, clap that up. And so my thesis is called, it's about dances of the African diaspora to address social justice issues in Colombia. But now that I'm living here, it's like how we can basically communicate between diasporas in the US and in Colombia. And the way it came about is I found out that we have a lot of similarities between just the US and Colombia. Black people here use dances of the river, or river dances as we call it. We actually, Christian was in my research proposal in the defense and everything. And we could see how the Mississippi River plays a huge role in the dances, and how Black communities in there have a lot in common with Black communities in my country. So my research was all about trying to not only communicate through dance, but also find those similarities that sometimes they don't want us to see.
So amazing. Yeah, snaps, claps, let's get it all. So with you completing your master's degree, connecting with community in Atlanta, and using dance as a medium for transformation and cross-cultural communication, what are you doing now? And where do you see yourself moving forward in the next couple of years to continue this amazing work that you've been doing?
I see myself taking everybody here to Chocó. I think everybody needs to go to Colombia and explore more. We can't be just talking about Black people everywhere, but we need to see what they're doing and where they are. So I see myself connecting those diasporas. I want to be able to bring people from Colombia here. I became the first and until now only one Fulbright scholar that's a Black and an artist to gain that scholarship in Colombia. And I want many more Black artists to do the same. So Fulbright Colombia has been around for 67 years now. And for me to be the only one in 2022, it's like what was happening before that we've been having Black artists all the time.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to close that gap. I want to be able to help more and more Black women from my community to be visible, and if it's not to the US, to just show up to the world.
I'm going to come back to this global exchange thing because me and you have connected really deeply on wanting to connect the diaspora and build infrastructure that uplifts our people across industries and sectors. And so I'm like, I want to go to Chocó. I want us to go to South Africa together. We're going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
But a question that I have it because I've been noticing this theme in the different workshops I've seen is around the subject of gender. You've mentioned the importance of your work for Black women, and at the different workshops I've seen you host, it has mostly been Black women. I'm like, damn, where the men at? Like, our body's jacked up. We need some. And so I'm just wondering your perspective on what, I guess I'm wondering if in Colombia, men were more involved in dance and the way that it connected to community, and also thoughts that you have about why men aren't always coming out to get that body healing work that we need to help the community move forward.
I would like people to just understand that dance is for everybody. And just because it does have a lot of hips movement, it doesn't mean that it's only for women. If you go to my community in Chocó, men are moving their hips better than the women are. So we're like, oh, and it doesn't have, it has nothing to do with gender roles in there. You just see everybody moving and enjoying. And I think something about my workshops is you don't have to be an expert to come. I just want you to come ready to enjoy. And I don't want you to be a dancer. I don't want you to know what to do. I just want you to make sure that you are doing what your body can do. So the first thing I will tell you is know your body and do what your body can do. That's all I need. And at the end, everybody lives with a reflection instead of knowing a choreography. So that's what I want to be able to do through dance.
It's amazing. You have and will continue to have a special place in my heart because we met through a good friend of ours, John, I believe, in the Africana Studies department as well, also graduated.
That's not how we met, but
that's not
shout out to John.
Shout out to John. How did we meet? Remind me. You
were with Christian.
What?
And I was outside the library, and you saw me, you heard me speaking Spanish on the phone, and you just came to me and said, "Did you know Spanish?" And we started talking Spanish, and then we've been friends since then.
Layla knows my memories.
Everybody knows
too. So all y'all remember, it's just me. I'm the problem. But you have had and will continue to have a special place in my heart because you helped us. You were one of the first people who came and really helped us build up this coalition that we've been building. You have consistently showed up and showed out. You have always been a beacon of light and comfort and just Black beauty and joy in the spaces that we've been in. And then for you to also bring your work to the space and allow us to come in and benefit from the ways that dance can transform years of trauma and constraints to help us actually be our best Black selves. I can't put into words how it's helped me in just a short amount of time. And I'm like, yes, wherever we go, I need Angie to be there. I need her work to be at the forefront, because art and movement and building diasporic relationships that are deep and that can communicate in different ways, that is what I think is missing in our diaspora. And I think that's the only way we can actually move forward to build the futures that we want to inhabit. So I really appreciate you being here today. To me, you are definitely a master motivator. You will continue to motivate people wherever you go. You have, I believe, motivated the people in the audience today. And so I think we're going to give our live audience a chance just to speak on the conversation we've been having and any thoughts they have about your work. So we're going to open it up to the folk. How did y'all feel about Angie's story, and just what are your thoughts, feelings, questions?
I'll say, going off the question of like, we talking about the gender and dancing, I guess that does play a role, I guess, because being like a Black American growing up here, and then like society kind of telling you like to move and act a certain way, and figuring out from your country, and then you make it as bad as you live. Cool thing to hear, because it's like, whenever I think about dance and stuff, maybe later, but
I think that, yeah, go ahead.
So I appreciate, talking about the dance, saying how it affects us as Black people. Appreciate you. It was just cool to hear that, especially both sides, like learning about both sides and learning how dance is not just for the ladies, it's for the men. And it also doesn't just, it's more than just dancing. It's like an expression that helps heal the body and heal the soul. So it was cool to hear.
That makes you be in the next class.
Because we're going to email you.
Oh, I just want to say Angie has a beautiful story, and you are such a pleasure. I love hanging with you. I love spending time with you. You're amazing. And you also encouraged me to move my body and, get in there, see what's up, what's going on.
Hi, Angie. Thank you for sharing your story with us. This was the first time that I have heard it. I've seen you around, but I hadn't actually heard your story. But one of the things that I did want to talk about was that cross-cultural connection between Black Americans and South Black Americans. I had the opportunity to do a study abroad to Ecuador through our women's gender and sexuality department at Georgia State. And that opened my eyes. And one of the things that was like glaringly clear was the oversight of Black Ecuadorians or Afro Ecuadorians. When we went on that trip, we did our classroom work at the Universidad de San Francisco. Un poquito. But after that, we're going around and exploring the markets, things like that. And we saw some of the artwork and things like that, but we didn't actually see Black people. So I asked, I was like, where are the Black people? Like, I know there are Black people in Ecuador, and they're like, they lived closer to like the ocean side. And it was like that same concept of like just grouping Black people and pushing them to like a certain point where, okay, we don't have to, engage with those people. And I was like, this was supposed to be like a cross-cultural experience. And as there are two other people on our trip, two other Black people on our trip, and we were like, well, we don't see ourselves, represented in that context. So that's another thing that we need to discuss.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was a great interview. It was great hearing about your story. And I've been doing dance and performing arts while I was young as well. And I actually did tap growing up as well as hip hop. And my brother did tap, cousins, ballet, tap, all that. So I've noticed that there's a lot of benefits to dancing and healing, and music is the only thing that stimulates every cell in the brain. So I was definitely snapping when you were talking about how powerful music is. And that's something that brings our entire world together, is frequencies. And that's a part of metaphysics, which I've been studying physics at North Carolina A&T. And been enjoying the connection between drums and bringing in other aspects of life. So I have a program called Drums, Drones, and Dreams. So my question would be, I actually did a Latin dancing class when I was in college, and learned about bachata and salsa. So what's your favorite genres? Is there a genre that's your favorite, or something that you teach all the time?
Well, first, I'm not surprised that you learned bachata and salsa, because that's everywhere. That's all people know about Latin American dance. But I'm here to talk about Chirimia Chocuana, and Chirimia Chocuana is what I teach, is what I grew up dancing, and that is the music of my community in Choco. It's all about Black music and Black people's culture. So when you learn Chirimia Chocuana, you not only hear the music, but you're hearing the ancestors, and that's what we do in Choco. So it's good that you do know bachata and salsa, but I will hope that you also know about Chirimia Chocuana. And even though salsa and bachata are universal, there are Black people doing salsa and bachata too, not just Karol G and Romeo Santos.
What is
Chirimia Chocuana. That's the dances and the traditional format of my community in Colombia, and that's what I teach.
What does that mean?
Chirimia Chocuana is it was once an instrument, and now it's the formal musical format.
Wow. That's so amazing. Well, again, Angie, thank you so much for your time. Thank you all for being a part of our live studio audience today, and really taking in this wonderful message, this wonderful story. Thank you all for joining us online. If you believe that Angie's work is amazing, is impactful, and can advance the community's goal of building cross-cultural, diasporic relationships and infrastructure that will change the futures we want to inhabit, support her work. Sponsor Angie's seat, and find other ways that you can tap in with BAF Solutions Network, so that we can continue to bring up wonderful master motivators like Angie, platform them, and bring in community to huddle around them and elevate them. So let's go ahead and huddle on in, folks. Alrighty, and master motivators on 3. 1, 2, 3. Master.
Get y'all next time. I'm Langston. Thanks for being here.
Daddy.